Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome in to episode number 11 of our TCW save in TEW 2020. This is Total Wrestling for February week 3, and I appreciate you guys' patience, as I know the schedule we usually try to do 3 to 4 videos per week, various series on the channel. Kind of been not doing that over the past couple weeks, and just one of those busy periods. If you're a long time following the channel, just happens sometimes. You know this, work, travel, that kind of stuff, and so just kind of been that way over the past couple weeks. So appreciate you guys hanging in there, and just wanted to make sure that we continue to push out these videos in this TCW series, and been working on them, but it's just, it's been a kind of a slow process over the past couple weeks, so not as many videos, but we'll try to pick things back up here moving forward. So, all right, let's talk about this edition of Total Wrestling as we start things off here with a video package looking into fallout from the Syndicate's attack last week, which we know was all set up after just a variety of interesting developments, where we had Daryl Devine handcuffed backstage. He was out of it, pointing at this car. This car speeds off. T-Bone and Chance Fortune give chase, but we think that it's the Syndicate in the car, perhaps with Aaron Andrews, who was nowhere to be found. But we see the Syndicate come out and attack Sammy Bot and One Man Army after their win in the main event. So it was a bit of a misdirection here, but the questions, of course, mounted from there. Who was in the car? Was Andrews in the car? Who was driving the car? We don't know any of those answers as of right now. So that's kind of your setup here, just sort of looking at the fallout. And we get sort of the finishing sequence with Wolf officially accepting the 5-on-5 challenge for the war to settle the score. So that's where things are set, and it will set the table for a big episode here as we continue to move towards that pay-per-view in a couple weeks. So 72 for this one, just kind of a setup angle here to get things started. But after we do that, we go to the announce team, and it is Kyle Rhodes announcing a significant update on this war to settle the score match that we just talked about. So this gets an 89, and yes, we just kind of used Aaron Andrews and Wolf here, even though they're not on screen or out there. But Rhodes announces that TCW management has issued a release stating that if any members of Aaron Andrews' team or Wolf Hawkins' team were to physically interact with each other prior to the war to settle the score, those members who initiate that interaction will officially forfeit their spot in the match, meaning that team will lose a member. So it could be 5-on-4, could be 5-on-2, could be 5-on-1 if anyone gets a little frisky. So that's your setup here. And Rhodes says the reason behind this is everything that's happened over the past couple weeks. TCW management has decided they have no choice but to keep these two teams apart in order to preserve the main event for the war to settle the score, the advertised main event. And so that's what Kyle Rhodes is pushing here, is we have to keep these two teams apart, and we have to raise the stakes high enough to where if they do decide to interact, they know there are going to be significant consequences for this match. So that is your kind of setup here for that. And we'll see if these two teams can stay apart that long, or if someone were to forfeit their spot because they just can't hold back and wait that long to tear each other apart at the war to settle the score. So 89 for this segment. Yeah, nice little boost just because we put these two on there, but sometimes you got to do it. So, all right, T-Bone taking out some aggression here on Mark Speed. Gets the win on 11:32 with a T-Bone lariat 73. Good match here. T-Bone continues to make, the push forward in terms of his performances. All that, as we said before, we've had Speed on here last couple, I think, weeks. He's had some pretty good matches, and so he's pretty good. And I don't think he's one that's over 40, so that's always nice to have on this roster. So, T-Bone inconsistent, but that's okay. T-Bone taking out some aggression here. That's what we're pushing. Can't find any of the Syndicate until the match itself, but he gets some aggression here after chasing after whoever it was in that car last week. So T-Bone with the win. Then we get the announcement that it is official. Greg Gage is going to defend his television championship against Dazzling Dave Diamond at the war to settle the score. And before we even get into the stipulation, yes, that officially means that I have decided to scrap the whole limitation of keeping the TV championship off pay-per-views. As someone mentioned in the comments, and I thought it was a great point, if you're watching a pay-per-view, you're probably watching it on TV. So, therefore, we're combining the two together, and there's no reason for me to just try to book around not having the TV championship on the pay-per-view anymore. So we're going to do it, and we're doing that moving forward. Now, that does not mean we're not going to introduce a new championship at some point, because there are plans for that. But right now, I just thought it was just kind of silly to keep trying to book around not having the TV title, especially with one of our top rising stars and Greg Gage holding the belt. Just didn't make a lot of sense for me to keep it off there. So we are going to have that match, the rematch. And the stipulation for the rematch is announced that Greg Gage, if he were to get counted out or disqualified, he will lose the television championship to Dazzling Dave Diamond. Of course, this comes off of last week where Gage intentionally got it counted out after it looked like Dave was about to win the title. Gage got counted out from there. So, booking committee has set in place a stipulation that if Gage gets counted out or disqualified, he will lose the championship. So, that's your setup here. For this one, we have a little quick promo from these two. Dave sort of pointing out that, hey, you got nowhere to go now. This is the championship match. You have to beat me to retain your championship. So, and then Greg Gage just kind of saying he knows what he's doing and he'll retain his title. So, a little back and forth there with sort of the video for this one announcing this match that will take place at the War to Settle the Score. 67 for this one. All right, we all knew this wasn't going to be a masterpiece. Killer Shark gets the win over Joey Philly, 433. The Big Bite gets it done, the 40 rating here for this one. But here's what's interesting. Pretty good chemistry. So a future world championship match, perhaps 10 years down the road, Killer Shark and Joey Philly. Mark it down for Total Mayhem 5 years from now. But yeah, Joey, we know, developmental worker. We brought him up for some matches. It's kind of growing his popularity a bit. And, Shark is Shark. Not the greatest in-ring worker, but still, we'll take it. And we did do storytelling on this one, so it held back the match rating a little bit, but, it wouldn't have been that much higher. So Shark getting the win, and this kind of playing up that Shark was supposed to have the match last week with Danny Fonzarelli, but Danny Fonzarelli has not shown up in back-to-back weeks now, and so this was kind of Shark getting another match here, and he gets the win over this one. Worth noting after the match here, and we didn't really have time for a segment for this one, but it is the one and only Eddie Peak saying that they're not done yet tonight. So making it clear that they are not going to be done yet, with whatever business they have tonight. So we'll see what that is. But Shark gets the win over Philly. All right, now it is Kyle Rhodes welcoming in the one and only Ernest Youngman, who we've seen in the crowd, and the first time we saw him get pretty physical last week as he used the hit on Benny Benson. And you guys had a lot of great responses on what you think the hit should be, the move-wise. And we will officially reveal what it's going to be, perhaps, if he hits that move whenever he has a match. Because Rhodes lets us know that, the secret is out. You are officially a member of the TCW roster now. And it has been announced by the booking committee. The booking committee's been working overtime here this past week, that he will have his official TCW debut match at the War to Settle the Score, as he is going to take on Flying Jimmy Fox. And that comes after Benson, taken out last week by Youngman. Fox has kind of been taunting Youngman. We've seen in the crowd too. So it's official. And Rhodes says, there's a lot of questions I have for you. I want to know what is your motivation here? What have you been doing going after Benny Benson and Flying Jimmy Fox? Why did you attack Benny Benson last week? What do you think about the match with Fox at the War to Settle the Score? And Rhodes is asking all these questions, expecting, a lot of answers here. But all we see is Ernest Youngman, glasses and all, just sort of standing there. And he just turns and he's looking around, Youngman very slowly just looking around, looking at the crowd, this cool presence with the glasses on, this black leather jacket. He's got all this stuff going. And Rhodes just says, "Excuse me, Mr. Youngman, I don't know if you heard what I said." And that is when Youngman just takes his hand and puts it over the microphone and starts to walk out of the ring. So he has nothing to say here. No response whatsoever from Ernest Youngman. So this gets to 55, and as that's happening, crowd's booing. They want to know what this guy has to say. But here they come, as it is Benson and Fox as they hit the ring. And that is when we see Youngman slide out of the ring. He was already starting to exit, so he slides out of the ring. Benson and Fox, hit the ring. We can see Benson moving a little bit slower here after taking the hit last week. But Flying Jimmy Fox all, fired up here, knowing he's got a one-on-one match with Ernest Youngman at the pay-per-view. So that is kind of your setup here, and not much to say from Ernest Youngman. In fact, nothing to say from Ernest Youngman for this one. 53 for the segment. All right, 58 for this match, and as we said, we're going to have matches, but the whole point is it's sort of kind of teasing everyone here where you have the Syndicate in action, you have Aaron Andrews' team in action, but is anyone going to make that move to perhaps get themselves, taken out of the war to settle the score match? Doesn't happen here, as the Elite get a win over Dean Daniels and Elliot Thomas, 7:38. Chandler submits Dean Daniels with a fabulous stretch, 58 for this one. Just getting the Elite a win. Again, we know they've been involved in all the shenanigans and everything going on with this group here. And so, that's kind of your setup for this, is just giving the Elite a win. And again, kind of putting them out there to see, is anyone going to kind of take the bait here to perhaps set off a chain of events where someone loses a member for their team. But didn't happen here, as the Elite simply get a win in somewhat dominant fashions here over Daniels and Thomas. All right, then we get a video package kind of looking at Joshua Taylor's winning streak ever since he lost that match to Aaron Andrews at Psycho Circus. That's what we're using kind of as the story. He's just nothing but win matches. So, and we're just kind of looking at his winning streak here and kind of what that means moving forward. Got the win last week over Flying Jimmy Fox. And so that's kind of what we're doing, is pushing Taylor's winning streak, and he will be back in action next week on Total Wrestling, which, as you'll see, next week's card is pretty interesting for Total Wrestling. But that will be one of the matches. Joshua Taylor in action, again, to see if he can keep his streak going next week. So 70 for this segment. All right, then we get Chance Fortune getting the win over Roderick Remus here, 10-22, a stroke of luck. Gets it done, 62 for this match. Not bad, actually, from these two. Worth noting, I keep saying Remus has got some good in-ring performances. I know he keeps losing, but I do find him interesting and kind of have an idea for how to use him in the future, but it's just not there yet. But there is something we have for him, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But for now, he loses this one as Chance Fortune gets the win. And again, kind of like we were pushing with T-Bone earlier, this is Chance Fortune kind of as his most aggressive. We hear Kyle Rhodes kind of calling that out on commentary. And again, because Daryl Devine, as we know, was completely taken out, handcuffed. Devine was already injured, but now, probably even more injured. So we don't really have an update, as Rhodes kind of mentions in this match, on Daryl Devine. We just know he's not here tonight. And we know that, it's kind of been made clear that there is no chance that he'll be back in time to have any sort of impact, perhaps, on the War to Settle the Score match, even though he's not in it. He's already kind of not been put in that match because we knew it was going to be a race for him to be cleared, and he's not going to be. So Fortune gets the win over this one. So a very aggressive Chance Fortune here, taking out his frustrations on Roderick Remus. 62 for this one. All right, now we get Kyle Rhodes back in the ring, and here they come. Freddy Huggins comes out, and as usual, it's Freddy kind of calling the shots here with Kyle Rhodes. He always comes out and tells Kyle, all right, Kyle, come on in. Freddy being Freddy. And that is when Kyle Rhodes says, Freddy says, Kyle Rhodes, I've seen a lot of people out here tonight, but there's someone I haven't seen. There's two people, actually, I have not seen, and that is Aaron Andrews and Edd Stone. And Huggins just says, I keep calling out Aaron Andrews. He decides to show up last week, but as we all see, he never wants to show up and wrestle me. I've been telling him time and time again, I'm the one that deserves that TCW Heavyweight Championship around my waist. Everyone knows it, but Aaron Andrews just keeps ducking me. I don't care if he got thrown in a car. I don't care where he's at right now. He should be out here giving me my rightful championship match. So he's just going on and on here. And then he says, but let me get to Edd Stone, who accepted my challenge. But I also heard that I'm going to step in the ring with Edd Stone next week because it's going to be a tag team match, as we've been told. Me and M-Hawk here, Matt Hawking, are going to team up against Edd Stone and his partner. But the problem is no one will tell us who his partner is. And so I want Edd Stone to come out here and reveal his partner right now. I'm demanding it. We want to know who his partner is next week on Total Wrestling. And so Huggins and Hawking just waiting, and Kyle Rhodes just looking around. And all of a sudden, Kyle just goes over and says, Freddie, Edd Stone's not here tonight. Everyone, that. He's not here. And so, of course, he's not Kyle Rhodes because he's a coward just like Aaron Andrews. He doesn't want to let, us in on anything. That's fine. We'll beat whoever it is next week. We'll be ready. Just kind of Freddie cutting his usual heel promo here. Again, knowing that, as Kyle Rhodes said, he knows he's not there. Stone's not. But Freddie just continuing to taunt Aaron Andrews and continuing to taunt Edd Stone. We know the singles match is set for the War to Settle the Score. Freddie versus Edd Stone, the two former partners clash there. But we're going to have a tag team match next week. Freddie and Hawking against Stone and his mystery partner. 67 for this one. All right, now it is Mighty Mo. And Mighty Mo gets the win. One half our tag team champions gets the win over Maverick. Pretty good match here, 75. I'm actually surprised, but Mo continues to deliver. We've kind of had him in the stuff with the Center Society, but it's fine. So Mo gets the win, and it's worth noting here, he hits the plunging spinebuster on Maverick, but that's following botched interference from Titan. So Titan, one half of the Center Society here, one part of the team, decides to try to get involved. Unfortunately, a little botched interference here. Mo gets the win. So, we kind of continue to advance the storyline with Mo and Tana and the Center Society, and that leads to the match, the post-match stuff here, as it is Eddie Pete coming out, and he wants Mo and Tana to give them their rematch. Kind of hear him yelling from the outside. He says they deserve their rematch, and Mo and Tana have said, they're kind of on the inside. They're saying, we'll fight anybody. We've said that. We beat you once. We'll beat you again. Mo and Tana not backing down from anyone. They beat Rich and Famous last week, the debuting team. But they sort of make it clear that they'll accept this rematch. So perhaps we're getting it. It will be Mo and Tana, defending their championships against Killer Shark and Titan, the former title holders. So Peak seems pleased at Mo and Tana accepting this challenge. So you guys probably know where that's going to happen. That will happen at War to settle the score. But it looks like we do have a rematch for the tag team championships that'll take place at that pay-per-view. So 74 for this one. All right, then we get an announcement here from Kyle Rhodes. He lets us know that it is official. J-Chord will be here next week to officially announce his decision on his future. As we know, last couple weeks, he said he will not wrestle again in a TCW ring unless he gets someone he considers worthy competition. And apparently that's not happened, because he said he's turned down a match with Bart Biggins. And, that was kind of the match that was set up for last week. He turned it down, which, by the way, Biggins is going to be in our main event here shortly against Wolf Hawkins. But, so he's going to officially announce a decision on his future. And Kyle Rhodes just makes it clear in commentary. He doesn't know what's going to happen, but he knows that J-Chord has informed TCW he will be here next week to announce a decision on his future. So 88 for this segment. What will Jay have to say? We'll find out next week. All right, to our main events, and it is Wolf Hawkins getting the win over Bart Biggins, 14:54 for this one, 84 for this match. I thought this would do a little bit better, actually, but I think it may have went a little long for Bart Biggins. Could be wrong on that, but, Biggins is just a little inconsistent anyway, so stamina wasn't a penalty here, but I thought this would do a little bit better, but it's fine. So Wolf gets the win. Again, 15-minute match here over Bart Biggins, so these two kind of go back and forth, and it is worth noting, Bart Biggins sort of really giving a valiant effort here, and that's important to note because it will play into something in the future, but a valiant effort from Bart Biggins to try to take it to Wolf, but Wolf just at the top of his game right now. The Syndicate, kind of getting their upper hand on Aaron Andrews and company last week, so yeah, Wolf gets the win, and that's kind of your setup there for that. So 84 for the main event, but afterwards, we have the Syndicate in the ring, and they are standing tall, as it looks like that may be it for this edition of Total Wrestling. But here comes the team of Aaron Andrews, Sammy Bach. I couldn't put everybody in here, so I just had to put kind of the important players. And yes, Kyle Rhodes is in here again because, we're kind of going to push him as the person kind of in the middle of this group here. But we see Aaron Andrews, so we don't know what happened to Andrews last week, but we get Kyle Rhodes coming to the ring. He's got the microphone. He's going to find out. He wants to know what happened. Here comes Sammy Bach. We've got T-Bone there. Chance Fortune there. One Man Army's there. So we've got all 10 of these men in the ring, and here's Kyle Rhodes standing between them. Remember, the stipulation that's in place here. So Rhodes is kind of in the middle. We have these 5 guys just all staring a hole in each other, wanting to just rip each other apart, but knowing what's at stake here. They can't do it based on the stipulation that is now in place. So Aaron Andrews is back, and Kyle Rhodes says, look, all you guys know the stipulation here. You know what can happen. You better keep apart because you know what can happen here. And the crowd's going nuts. They want to see the guys just destroy each other. But not going to happen because Kyle Rhodes puts the microphone up there, and Andrews said, Aaron, we've all been asking the question, what happened last week? You've got these 5 guys standing right in front of you. Let us know what happened. And Aaron Andrews says, I know everyone wants the answers to the questions, but I can't give you all the answers. But what I can tell you is this. What happened to me last week, I will never forget it. I was thrown into a car. I was blindfolded. They put something over my head. I couldn't see a thing. And they're all standing right there looking at me right now, knowing that they did this. But I will tell all of you this, all 5 of you standing across the ring. I don't know who was driving that car. I don't know who was in that car. But I will tell you, I will never, ever forget that voice in that car. I will never forget that voice. And when I hear it, I'll know exactly who is the person that drove me to wherever they drove me to, basically left me for dead. But I will never forget that voice. So really just pushing this aspect. He will not forget the voice of whoever it was, driving that car. Making it very clear, it's not one of the 5 Syndicate members standing across from him. So that adds another layer to the question here. Who was it? But Andrews just said he doesn't know. He was essentially blindfolded. But that is when he says, however, all it did was make me a lot more angry. And there's nothing more I'd like to do right now than to tell these 4 guys standing beside me to go at all of these guys over here. We're all just staring each other in the eye. But this isn't about talk. This is about action. And that is when Aaron Andrews says, so I know it's a 5-on-5 match at the war to settle the score, but you go to war knowing that the war is not over until one side wins. And that is when Aaron Andrews officially proposes that. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that no one can leave until this thing is settled. And the only way to do that, Aaron Andrews says, is one way. Cage wars. 5-on-5. Inside a steel cage. Cage wars stipulation. That's how we settle the score. And kind of leaves it at that. And you see Wolf Hawkins kind of, conversing with the Syndicate members on the other side. They're all kind of talking with each other. And then you just kind of see Wolf nod his head. And everyone kind of, fired up here as Kyle Rhodes is just kind of standing in between them all here. And we can see they're all just getting revved up here, thinking about the idea of the Cage Wars, which we're using the Cage War stipulation. It's War Games. Like, that's what we're kind of using here. So it is official. And we kind of get the visual here as we go off the air of these 10 men all in the ring with Kyle Rhodes in the middle, all knowing they cannot touch each other until what is now going to be a Cage Wars 5-on-5 match at the war to settle the score. So 76 for the closing segment here. That's how we go off the air. And a lot of sort of interesting stuff here. Aaron Andrews talking about this voice he will not forget. Also putting in place the stipulation for the 5-on-5 Cage Wars at the war to settle the score. So there you go. That is this edition of Total Wrestling. Gets an 83, one of our better shows, I think, so far. Increased our popularity in 13 regions. Good show, like we said, some good stuff on there. Big developments from the match standpoint. Several new matches added to the mix, but a lot of stuff forwarded here as we get ready for the go-home show next week. So let's see if we can get to before we wrap up. All right, so Total Wrestling, we strike gold. Excellent show. We strike gold with this one. That's what we're always looking for. SWF, also excellent. They strike gold. See what they got for that one. Okay, so they got an 80, so we beat them in show rating. We'll look at the actual TV ratings and such in a bit, but nice tag team match to end things off there for that show. Anything notable here? Kevin Jones staying with 21CW. Emerald Angel staying with Burning Hammer. So, those are notable for that. Let's see. We got a couple opinions here. Elliot Thomas turning in a good worker, worth getting behind. All right, Dean Daniels. We got that. See what Joel Bryan has to say. Oh, Elliot Thomas. All right. So, well, we've kind of Elliot Thomas with Dean Daniels, again, who just kind of had a positive opinion about it. They've been teaming together. Thomas is someone that, has some good, I don't actually have to say that. Like, they don't really have a lot of great skills, but, kind of get some of this stuff down. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll see if we get behind him. I think he's one of our, I think he's in our creative section, one of our next big things. Not next big things, maybe, Rising Stars or whatever it is. So, yeah, I don't really have a lot for him right now, but it's possible. We could do something with it. All right, so we got 3.39 for the TV rating. So we'll go to the section here and see how we did. 83. So we're still beating SWF in terms of the viewership there. If we look at TV rating, we're doing pretty well here. Almost got the Premier League football numbers, so not bad. for this edition of TCW. Making moves here for that. So there you go. That was Total Wrestling, and I appreciate your feedback. As always, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. A lot of fun stuff in motion on the road to the war to settle the score. And as you can tell, my voice is not all the way back yet, but it's getting there. So I'm doing my best with this to keep the videos flowing here. And so check out everything else on the channel, WWE, AEW. I know we haven't had, again, kind of due to the schedule of the past couple weeks, I haven't had many videos for those two series, but I've been working on them, and they'll be up soon enough. So, again, I appreciate you guys kind of hanging in there with less videos than usual over the past couple weeks. But a lot more stuff, of course, exploring the Seaverse, more series on the way. Again, I've already had a couple of new series videos recorded, kind of introduction videos, but kind of just a matter of when I want to release those to kind of get those new series started, but we'll decide when that's going to be. But again, I appreciate you guys as always. Love the feedback. And on the next episode of our TCW Save, it will be the official go-home show, Total Wrestling, for the War to Settle the Score in February, Week 4.